Namaste Saraswati Devi. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Today is the 10th of January. This is the night. Guess what's today? We pass around the Gita Mahatmya so we can start with our prayer. And then we want to welcome Vidhi Bhakti Mataji, a friend of mine, friend of Datri's, and very, very special devotee. Did a lot of preaching in Iran, right, in the early days. Prabhupada disciple. If you don't have a copy of Gita Mahatmya, we have a few here. Pass it around. How many of you need one for the prayer? You have yours? Somehow I had more copies. I guess they're getting passed out.
Mataji, I need one.
Okay. All right. So you want me to leave that? The rest of you have?
Mataji, I need one.
Okay. And can you pass on some of these others to those who need one? Yes. Okay. Alrighty. You need one too? Okay. You have your Gita with you? Your father and father? We start first with the first feature in the Bhagavad Gita, actually, and it's an excellent feature by which to share with persons who are interested in purchasing the Gita, because they'll see the benedictions of the Gita. It's prayer. Our system is to use a single word. Again, we'll go over that for our visitors. Bhakti, and your father's name? Rohini Nandan. Wow. Okay. This is Samohini's father. And he's joining us today. Okay. So from here we have, we take one word, not necessarily the word here, but to help us memory link. How do we link? So we understand what we're reading and we can remember it, and best of all, we can repeat it quickly. Those of you here regularly, you know this very quickly. Our first word is go, and our second word is stop. The second text. Okay, and the third word is wash. And the fourth word is read. And the fifth word is never. And the sixth word is drink. And the last word is serve. Okay, now we're running through this fast because we have a lot to do. Now we're starting a preparatory Bhakti Shastri course. Really, this is a class for which devotees can do half the groundwork. So if they wanted to go further, they would have a lot out of the way. Could be up higher up on the ladder. All right, so if you see here, what does text 1 tell us? Remember the word was what? Go. So repeat. One who recites this holy scripture. The Bhagavad Gita. Achieves the abode of Vishnu. Which is always free. From the mundane qualities. Based on fear and lamentation. Yes, once the jiva enters the material atmosphere, he's forced to feel two things: fear and lamentation. Forced. Text 2. The word was stop, and we will see what text 2 does for us. One who is regularly engaged in the study of the Bhagavad Gita. And in the practice of pranayama. Is never affected by the reactions of his past misdeeds. You know, those of us, so this is our parabdha karma, we're suffering or enjoying according to our previous actions from time immemorial. But the study of the Gita stops that. That's the benediction. Okay, text 3. The word was wash. Okay, by daily taking a bath in water. One may cleanse himself from impurities. But if one takes a bath even once, in the sacred water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. And again, it has to be understood that material body means that the jiva has acquired contaminated consciousness, so that becomes cleansed by studying Gita. In text 4, the word was read, and this is how, okay? The Bhagavad Gita is meant for careful recitation.
The Bhagavad Gita is meant for careful recitation.
And then there is no need for any other scripture.
And then there is no need for any other scripture.
Because it has directly emanated.
Because it has directly emanated
from the lotus mouth
from the lotus mouth
of the Supreme Lord.
of the Supreme Lord.
Okay, so there are two types of Krishna Katha about Krishna, and Krishna Katha, Katha spoken directly by Krishna, and that the Gita is unique. Krishna has directly spoken. In the fifth text, the secret word was never. And we'll find out what is never. By drinking the Ganges water of the Gita,
By drinking the Ganges water of the Gita,
the divine quintessence of the Mahabharata,
the divine quintessence of the Bhagavad,
emanating from Lord Vishnu's lotus mouth,
emanating from Lord Vishnu's lotus mouth,
one will never again take
one will never again take birth in the future.
So our word was never. You'll never take birth again. Actually, it can be done in one lifetime. It can be done. The matter is desire. The desire has to. You have to know what the goal is of human form of life, which is to end your material entanglement. And then if you know the goal and you know that it's actually been afforded to us, as you heard this morning, once in 8,600,000,000 years in a day of Brahma. That's not very often. And it's midday now. And we do have the advantage of Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada. And sometimes Lord Chaitanya doesn't come. Some days he doesn't come. And it happens mid Brahma's life. So that means you'd have to wait another 400 trillion years in the middle of Brahma's life. And in the middle of the day, when Krishna has come, and Lord Chaitanya has come, and you have to have a human body, and you'd hope somebody like Prabhupada's here. Those are really narrow odds. So don't pass up the chance. If you do, you're very, you're not misfortunate. Okay, so, by drinking the Ganges water, the Gita, did we do this one already?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never take birth again. Okay. Now, the next one, text 6, the key word there is drink.
Drink.
All the Upanishads are compared to a cow.
All the Upanishads are compared to a cow.
And the milkman is Sri Krishna.
And the milkman is Sri
The
Krishna,
son of Nanda.
the son of Nanda.
Arjuna is the calf.
Arjuna is the calf.
The great nectar of the Bhagavad Gita.
The great nectar of the Bhagavad
is
Gita
the milk.
is the milk.
And the fortunate devotees.
The fortunate devotees,
The fine theistic intellect.
the fine theistic intellect,
Are the enjoyers of that milk.
are the enjoyers of that milk.
So here is the point of Ras, because some people say, well, the Gita's ABCs, and let's talk about Ras. Here, actually, the Gita actually is nectar. It's nectar. And Ras can be attained systematically through study of the Gita. And if you notice, too, this analogy of milk and fine theistic intellect. It says if you want to have a wife, you should have a cow, because a wife will mean children, right? Make children. And if the children don't have milk, then the finer brain tissues for understanding scripture won't be. It takes fine brain tissues to understand scripture. Text 7, translation. The word was, what's our responsibility? Service. There need be only one scripture.
There need be only one scripture.
Krishna's divine Gita.
Krishna's divine Gita.
Only one Lord.
Only one Lord.
That same Krishna.
That same Krishna.
Son of Devaki.
The son of Devaki.
Only one mantra.
Only one mantra.
The chanting of his holy name.
The chanting of his holy name.
And only one duty.
And only one duty.
Devotional service.
Devotional service.
Supreme Lord.
O Supreme Lord.
Shri Krishna.
Shri Krishna.
So actually, all the scriptures point to two things: that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that the perfection of the living entity is to become reestablished in his Sanatana Dharma, his eternal service. We all now have temporary, conditional dharmas, but Sanatana Dharma doesn't change. And it actually, once reestablished, you don't have to keep changing bodies and identities. This is the goal of This is the beauty of the human form of life. Other forms of life do not afford you that opportunity. So it's envied by the demigods even, because they cannot arrest their pious credits, nor can the sufferers stop their impious credits. Only in the human form of life can you stop your karma and can you exit the material samsara. Very critical opportunity, not to be missed. Okay, so the first step in our preliminary Bhakti Shastri study is to organize ourselves each time we study. Remember, organization will enable them to maximize learning time. And it is a good mental process too. It's something you all do when you plan a trip or cook a meal. You have to be prepared. All right, so the first thing you have, let's check that you have with you. Do you have your Bhagavad Gitas? Right? If you don't have your own, do you have the little one?
Yes.
Yes. All right, this is what you'll need today. All right, do you all have your own or perhaps the class study guide?
Yes.
Right, because without a study guide, the layman, even if he's pious, he will not be able to extract the main points. He needs the help of the parampara and those who've written summaries, and even those who have written studies on the summaries. Studies on the studies on the studies, because what was once easy for India, now the common man in India either disbelieves in the Gita or if he has some affection for it, he can't understand it. It's that difficult for him. And even amongst devotees without the help of study guides. So we try to direct people to the study guide to help us understand what we're reading. And why should we understand what we're reading? Because the more you know, the more auspicious your life becomes, because you'll know what to do and what not to do. Your happiness increases. And you advance spiritually. The Ilma Adhikari is full in knowledge. The Nistas are shaky and could leave. Madhyam, at least be Madhyam. At least know where it is if you can't quote it exactly. So your endeavor to study indicates you're moving up. You're moving up from Kanishta to Madhyam. At least that attempt indicates you're progressive. Okay? So you have your guide and you have your Gita. All right, those two things are essential. We have a lot of opulence by the mercy of Prabhupada. We have many people who have written other books. Surrender Unto Me. If you have that book, it's a nice one to refer to. We'll be trying to fill in information coming from this, from versions. It takes you through the Gita with a lot of information from other acharyas as well as from the Mahabharata. Again, you won't always find those in the purports, and if you just read the text, unless you're vastly learned already, you won't know. Okay, our program now is to do the preliminary work. So you've all been asked to get a notebook. So those of you who are following in that regard, you have your notebooks. I've been real busy and completely missed about keeping up with my own schedule. But given that we will have, in 2 months' time, 8 sessions, over which we must cover the first 6 chapters of the Gita, that means we have to do practically every class, at least one of the chapters. Okay. So by today, our objective today is to go through the questions for chapter 1. We'll do this, first we'll do the skeleton of the chapter, as well as the thematic flow. And then we will analyze, we're going to ask each other to count the number of purports, so you know what additional information is being provided.
Mataji, the words which we write.
Right, that's also there too.
Do I have to write it what you are saying, or I have to write it at home and show?
No, we'll explain that in just a minute. I'm going to show you another option. How to maximize the study book and your own time, given to what you have a time for. Okay. So you all have the book, and we've all given you the format for responses. Okay. So some of you have quite a few. I actually only got to the first question written down the other night. So your format is to use black. We ask for 2 colors, so you're teacher friendly as well. You must always rewrite the section as well as the question. That way the marker knows what are you answering. And then you switch colors, so the response shows up. And then I switch, you don't have to, I switch back to black for the reference. So a proper test response, essay test response requires, should have a reference. Otherwise you are not being authoritative. And that's extremely critical in spiritual life. The whole basis of spiritual life is to know the scriptures, live by them for your own benefit and everybody else's, as well as to make reference to them when asked. Someone will say, where did you hear that? You have to say. You have to say. And actually the essential difference between one who's theistic versus atheistic, does he have faith in the scriptures? But faith has to be followed by knowing them, following them, and being able to cite them for the benefit of others. Okay. So here you have your format in which your response begins by restating the question. So if the question said, what is? Then you say, why is the Bhagavad Gita the perfect theistic science? Then your response will be, the Bhagavad Gita is the perfect theistic science because. And then you list your points. And we've gone over how to do that, how to extract that quickly, and how to tuck it into as simple and systematic a sentence as possible. So we're going to go over those questions for chapter 1, where you find the responses. Okay? Now, also I had requested, and I didn't go past the first 2 pages myself, that you give 5 pages at the beginning for the introduction, right? And you number from 1 through 80 for all those 80 paragraphs. And then you try to boil it down to 1 word, because that thinking process alone is called active reading rather than passive reading. And then you extract it to 1 point, and then you write that down. And then later, if you wish, in another color, if you wish to find out other major points, then in a very, very minimal form, you have the essence of a block of text. When you're studying, you do not have time to read again and again and again, because your studies move on. As you've seen, time moves on. But if you have actively studied and you've extracted essences, then you can quickly go back, and these will be memory links for you. They won't take much time. And remember, our paradigm this year, last year was teacher-learner, this year our paradigm is reader, writer. If you know an effective way to read, you will then have an effective way to write. Right? And if you have an effective way to write, you've been taught process writing in school, or now we're trying to train you in process writing, simply you'll be able to read effectively. Because a good writer has to know how the reader was going to understand him. There are people like James Joyce. There are writers called stream of consciousness. They just write. But almost no one can understand what they write. And what happens in many courses in which people have not studied process writing, they're like James Joyce. Only they will not win the Nobel Prize. They just start writing. Writing, writing, writing. And whatever comes to my mind, let my teacher figure it out. But that is not effective communication. Because we are here to communicate. And that's a skill. And it's an important skill. Right? So this year, our paradigm, inverse operations, reader, writer. Okay? So in reading, we do what? We minimize. Like on the computer. Right? You minimize. And in writing, what do we do? Maximize. The brain has 2 functions. It can minimize and it can maximize. So we will become more practiced now to use those 2 operations. Okay? And you see them on the computer. Whatever we're talking about in life, if you're open to it, you'll see it practically existent all around you. It just sometimes has to be pointed out. You may not detect it. You may not detect it. Here's another option. If you haven't done it, or you could try it from now on, I recommend, I thought about this the other day, that if we allowed at least 1 page for each topic. Remember, each topic is 2 questions on the average, and that's a seminar, that's a Bhakti Shastri class of 2 hours usually. So our first topic in the first chapter is preparations for war. So I've answered those 2 questions, okay? I thought it might be handy, if you like, to leave the back side blank. Go to the next one. You don't have to, I just thought of it. You may try it from now on. Because then on this side, you could number slokas 1 through 14, 13. And in those, after that, you could put any points or anything you thought was important. Maybe there's an analogy in there. Maybe there's an important Sanskrit term. Maybe there's important reference.
Yeah, you can draw an analogy.
Right, whatever. Or you may want to list some of the personalities in the sloka. So you could leave this as your work page. Does that sound like a good idea? Not required, but I think then it's a quick reference. Here's class 1, here's my homework, and here's my extra work, my plus work. Because we don't have 2 hours to spend on one topic.
Correct.
We're going to put the whole chapter into today. That's fast. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you all like that idea? So you can try that. If you haven't done it, no problem. You maybe could tape on the page, insert it, put an insert page. And from this point on, you may want to, I think it's a handy option.
Correct.
That way you've done more than your homework. You're really moved up that person. Then here, this will be signs of victory. 2 questions on this page, on the reverse. Slokas 14 through 20. And then the next one will be Krishna as Bhaktavatsal, and that's 21 through 27. And then your last 2 questions will be Arjuna's doubts, 28 through 46. Okay? So if you'll take out your magic slates, we'll go over first the structure really fast. And again, you can refer to, we're going to go first to the structure.
This is starting, my questions are starting from this page.
Doesn't matter.
So in this page.
Yeah, that's good. That's all right. But if from now on,
But I already did 3. I already did 3 parts.
that's okay. That's okay. Just go ahead and keep going like that. You may want to, from this point, be able to okay, these are ideas that come along with it.
So leave this page and start the 4th thing from this.
Try it. That way you can do it. He's pretty fast. This is a youngster here. He's 12 and he's already done 3 sets of questions. Okay. And he's also studying Sanskrit every day, along with Bhagavad. Okay, so if you work now on your computers, you got your computers out? All right. You got your computers out? Okay, and you open up your computer to the book you want. What is it?
Bhagavad Gita.
So you write that on your computer, you enter in, and it shows up on your screen. You got the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, and then when we open up the computer, and we are studying chapter 1, right? And we see chapter 1 has, what will it show us? The cursor will show us how big that chapter is. Right, it has 46 slokas. So already you have learned what? Bhagavad Gita chapter 1 has 46. It has 46 slokas, right. If you hear it, see it, say it, and write it, you will remember it. Okay, so let him do the writing, okay? You know all this. There you go. Okay, give him the slate. Okay. You'll be surprised by actually writing it, you are more actively engaged. It's an active process. Passive learning is practically 0. And I heard it again, attention spans in Kali Yuga for children are 10 seconds. 10 seconds. So, and I don't think we're doing much better given that the air is filled with so many waves we can't see and all the pressures that we have and the rate at which everything goes. Our minds are like this. So by bringing them into focus this way, at least we can try to get what's essential to us, especially at death. Especially at death. And that's what we're all preparing for. Nobody gets out of here alive. Okay, 146. All right. Now, when we check in our study guides, and we have our little 1881, some of you can show that to especially Vinny and to, what's your name again? Rohini Nandan. We have a little booklet in which this has been simplified. Most of the people here know this already. But in your little 1881 book, under chapter 1, you'll see that there are 4 divisions. And each of these divisions is a class. So there are 81 classes, 2 hours each. In the first chapter, there are 4 divisions to this chapter. All right? So on our slate, we're going to put 4 dots. Each of these represents a division. Okay? And if you have your book, you can see where it is. Okay? Now, minimize. I need to know these 4 topics. And the easiest way is to reduce them to 1 word. The minute we have text, we're too busy. It's true, we're too busy. And it's information overload in Kali Yuga. Text, this, that, letters, this, that, computers. We can't digest it, we don't have time to if we could. So we compress. So the 4 topics are going to be reduced to 1 word each. Okay, and that's easy. We call these our memory links, or your Velcro words, because you can't remember anything unless it's anchored to something you already know.
Okay.
So your first topic is war. And your second topic is victory. What's your first one? War. If you do just a signal with your body, you will remember. And your second one is victory. If you're on airplanes, you'll see this all the time. They'll communicate with signals. It's very easy. Everybody can see you. People who can't hear can follow. Right? And you remember better. Okay, so war, victory, and your third link word is Krishna. That's your third link word. It's not the whole topic, but remember, all you need is 1 word as an anchor. And your final word is Arjuna. So let's go over your 4 anchor words again for recall. War, victory, Krishna, and Arjuna. All right. And we're going to see now how large and where these sections are. Your little book will show you. It will show you the address. It will show you the address. So first here we're going to put W for the first topic. We use codes. It's fast. W for what? War. And the next one is what?
Victory.
For victory. For victory. Those of you who remember the peace movement, those old timers like us, right, in America. You remember in Berkeley? Peace Brother. Everybody walked around. It meant you were cool and you were part of the anti-war movement. And this meant Peace Brother in the 60s. Prabhupada came in that time. So war, victory, and K is for what? Krishna, and A is for what? Okay, so we know now the code for the 4 subdivisions of chapter 1. And how big is it? 46 slokas. 46 slokas. All right, now in your little study guides, and we didn't do our handouts, we have bigger handouts. We're going to work fast now because the big handouts are available, but this is, we've got to go deeper today. This is from 1 to 13. So write 1 and then 13 under it. The topic of war and the preparations for the war are explained in the first 13 slokas. Where are they? First 13 slokas, 1 to 13. So if you want to know the background to the battle, it's here. At least in terms of participants.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, victory. The full topic is signs of it. There are signs as to what the outcome will be. Even if you read a novel, there will be clues at the beginning as to how the novel will end. Every story has to have a setting, which introduces characters and place, and it has to have conflict. If there's no conflict, there's no excitement. So this is life. Have you noticed wherever you go, there's conflict? There'll be man, woman, heat or cold, black or white, friends, enemies, but it's there, no matter what. is there. So we're going to hear what is the conflict. Not only the participants, we're going to hear where we are, we're in Kurukshetra, who's there, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, that's part of setting. But now what's the conflict? There are going to be signs of victory. The war is about to start. So here, this will start at 14, and it will be 20. And here we will have clues as to who will come out victorious. From 14 to 20, what will we have? Clues. Clues. Who's going to win? Right? Who's going to win? Just add to the dramatic suspense. Yes?
In the study guide, it's written 14 to 23.
14 to
23.
that's in my
Even I did 14 to 23.
Yeah, it's 21 to 27. The one I have, perhaps a newer study guide. I don't know. 20, 14 to 20. Okay. Krishna is Bhagavad song. Krishna appears in 21, and it goes to 27. Okay, we're going to find out who the speakers are in the Gita, this first chapter. Who do we hear? Who do we hear? Who's speaking? And when does Krishna step in? And when does he speak? When does he start speaking in the Gita? We'll hear this in 21 to 27. So we have 1 to 13 for what?
War.
Yes, the setting. Where? Who? 14 to 20, what's that? The signs of victory. And 21 to 27? Krishna's Bhagavad song. Right, now we what? Krishna's Bhagavad song. This is his favorite role. He likes to serve his devotees. 21 to 27. And the last part, Arjuna's doubts? Where's that?
28.
28 cents, 28 to 46. Okay, so we've got that. So let us now revise. Preparations for war, section 1 through 13. The 13 slokas give us the setting of the big book and the drama. Every book and life is like that. You read Shakespeare, you read any novel, you just read your own life. It's one drama after another. One opposition after another. It's life. It's reality, okay? V is for signs of victory, and those are indicated where? 14. Then we hear Krishna come into the picture, 21 to 27, on a chariot as the driver. That's not a very high post. He's Krishna's Bhakta-Vatsal, affectionate to his devotees, from 21 to 27. We're going to hear many descriptive words applied to Krishna that indicate he's affectionate to his devotees. And the last section, 28 to 46, is what? Arjuna's doubts. Here we have the internal conflict. The external conflict is a war, but that's not the real one in life. Have you ever found, maybe nobody's coming up to you and punching you, but someone can give you mental disturbance. Anybody had that?
Yes.
So somebody's mental disturbance. So now he's going through mental agony. What's the right thing to do? And he gives 4 dharmic reasons why I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, Krishna. He's right in the middle of a battle, and they're blowing the horns, and they're ready to fight, and he's decided, I want to walk out. I want to leave. So, and they're good reasons, but they're levels of dharma. And the last dharma is surrender unto me, in the end of the Gita. Krishna runs you through all the other levels, but at the end, you can forget them all if you do this one thing. Make your life simple. Okay? So, see if you can quickly recreate this structure on your computer now. Erase it. And see now if, with our revision, you can write the codes and you can write the sections. Because if you know the structure, if you know the skeleton, then the verses fit into place nicely. Otherwise, it's a jigsaw puzzle that's been put on the table with the pieces everywhere, and they won't really make sense. But I guarantee, if you know the structure, the slokas fit in a thematic flow very nicely. Very nicely. So did you all quickly do that? Check with your partner to see if there were no mistakes. See if there were no mistakes. Okay. You have a study partner. Nice. Okay, you should have a partner here. And you have this lady, she's Russian speaking. I don't know if she understands so much. You can understand a little bit? Okay, well then maybe you can help her a little bit. I don't know if you know Russian. Can you talk to her? Okay. You should be able to do this quickly through practice. How you doing there? You got a good teacher, Vinny, right? Right, Priya. She's a good teacher there. So you all know the structure. Check with your steady partner. Like preaching, you benefit. You benefit because you cannot speak without being attentive to what you're saying. You can be an inattentive listener, but you cannot be an inattentive speaker. Can you? You're talking on the phone to somebody. You have to pay attention. What am I saying to them? You don't start going to sleep unless it's really late. Yeah. So this is the benefit of the preacher. And it's why passing information on is called the last stage in the Vedic paradigm of knowledge. Because if you could turn around and tell somebody else, you've learned it. Otherwise, there's no evidence. There's no evidence. Maybe he knows, maybe he doesn't know. If you're sitting there silently, how do we know? So if you have done that with your neighbor, now how many of you have a good preacher next to you? Did you have a good preacher next to you? Did they know? She knew the stuff? She knew how to explain it. Good. How about Vinny? Is she a good preacher? She okay? She learned it. Right, okay. Yeah, there's no guarantee you know it until you can turn around and repeat it. And then you have to be attentive. But if you can just sit there, oh, I just want to be a listener in your class, I don't want to say anything about it. We have no idea what's happening up here. I heard a class by Radhika Raman, a famous boy that went to college at 12, right? And he was preaching at Radhadesh. And he said he had a girl in his class while he was giving his class, and he's a good teacher. He's teaching the Sandarbhas there. And he said, while he's teaching, he noticed she was on her phone, and she ordered a winter jacket, and she paid for it right there in class. And he thought, she's paying 25,000 rupees to come here to do that? Why did she bother to spend the money to come here? He said, this is a waste of time, money, and the human form of life. You're coming to hear the Sandarbhas and you're ordering a winter jacket. I mean, maybe you need a winter jacket, but not then. You know, that is the point. So active means I can say it. I'm listening. She obviously wasn't listening to the Sandarbhas. Okay, I thought that was an interesting point. Okay, so you know the structure? Yeah. Okay, now we're going to add a substructure to Arjuna's doubts with signals. Okay, there are 4 doubts. He has 4 main doubts. Very good ones. Dharmic. Okay, first doubt. Can you all do this? I don't see everybody doing this. Vinny, what happened? We're gonna. What's this? Compassion. 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 He doesn't want to kill his relatives. He has a soft heart. Compassion. Okay? Compassion is his first doubt. I don't want to kill these people, my teachers, my relatives, my guru. Would you want to do that? No. Go away. Compassion. His second one. Enjoyment. Enjoyment. If I win and then everybody else is dead, who do I show off to? Everybody wants something in this world to show his friends. Hey, look at the new diamond ring my boyfriend bought me. Or come and visit our new house by the sea. Or how do you like my new sari? If nobody's there, what's the point of enjoyment? You have to have somebody to share it with. That's the whole idea of family life. If you're by yourself, you have to be a vairagi, renunciate. You're internally satisfied. But most people need externals. I need family, friends, kids. We got to have fun together. Right? Enjoyment. So if everybody's gone, how can I enjoy my kingdom? What's it going to mean? By myself, I'm in the palace. So the first one was what? Compassion. And the second one was what? And then the next one was fear of sinful reaction. You're asking me to kill gurus, parents, teachers, relatives. These are not ordinary people here. They're not just a bunch of demons running around. They're honorable. I'm going to kill them? I'm indebted to them. Bhishma's on the other side. Drona, my teacher. All my relatives are there. They're doing a good job running the kingdom. Yeah, maybe they do a little funny things, but it's running. Why should I do that? Okay, so compassion, fear of sinful reaction. Oh my goodness. What the hell's await me for doing this? And the last reason he doesn't want to fight? These are good. Are these not good arguments? Yeah. He's compassionate. The last one is degradation of society. Yeah, we kill all the elders, and there's nobody to pass tradition on. Now see, in the Vedic culture, they worried about tradition because the elders taught spiritual science to the younger ones. Because with no oblations to the altars, no sacrifices, no garbhadana sanskara, the whole society goes to hell. And those who cause that go to hell with them. So he's going to go to hell not only for killing them, but for causing the degradation of the whole future. So it's not just now, in the future, all these degraded things happening. Degradation of society. For good reasons. What? I want to kill my friends. Enjoy my life. That I can't be happy. Sinful reaction. If I kill them. And the final one is what? Right. The family elders are gone. Tradition is stopped. The women are unprotected. They become polluted. Then there's Varna Shankara, and the whole society goes to hell. And that's what you have on the planet now. It's full of unwanted children. And what do you get? Hellish conditions. Put them in front of the TV. What do they do the rest of their life? It doesn't. Don't bother me, kid. Just you're on your own. That is Varna Shankara. Unwanted children. And they won't have the adhikar even to follow religious principles to take advantage of the beauty of life. They won't even know what the goal of human life is. They'll think it's, well, eat, drink, and be merry. Because tomorrow we're going to die. And that's what Maya does. Makes you think that. Maya makes you think that. Keep you in the prison house. Keep you shackled. And only the devotee can tell you what the true and final life is. So you know the structure? Can you tell your neighbor Arjuna's 4 reasons he doesn't want to fight?
Fearful of sinful reactions, degradation.
How is going on?
Oh yeah. Finished?
Whatever you guys work out, I don't know. I mean, we'll try our best to be organized. We'll see what happens. Try to help others.
Compassion. Joy. Of the action. degradation, so compassion, enjoyment, after that you have fear of reaction, degradation, fear reaction, fear, fear, reaction.
Can you have a good preacher next to you?
Yes.
Turn to page 41 in your study guide. Now, in many Bhakti Shastri courses, 41. This morning I was talking to Mataji from Pune, and there's no reference made to a study guide even. But study guides are what every teacher knows how to present the course. And every smart student should be aware of it because it helps you learn the course. So let us now turn to page 41 of our study guide, and let's see how the book can help us further. Because now we have the skeleton. And when you have the skeleton, you start to fill in the little details, right? You draw a tree trunk, and then you put the branches, and now we're going to start painting in some sub-branches. And then the verses become the leaves, and the purports can become the flowers and the fruits, right? So it's every analogy. Life is like that. There's a main trunk, there are main branches. This trunk for this chapter is observing the armies on the battlefield. We've got 4 main branches, and now we're going to see how we've got some twigs. All right, so now this will make sense. Because if you see chapter 1, and a lot of people, they get the study guide with the class, but they never refer to it. But you see how much is in your study guide. It'll help you a lot. And even if you look at the Gita, at the beginning of the Gita, there's a summary for each chapter. You can see how the authors have helped you a lot. It's just pointing out the road signs for the student. That's what we're doing. These are the helpful signs. So Module 1, overview and breakdown of each chapter. Chapter 1, and underneath it, Daughtry, what does it say?
Dhritarashtra's questions Sanjaya about the events that took place at Kurukshetra.
Okay, now in this first chapter, we have these speakers. Dhritarashtra, Sanjaya, Duryodhana, and actually the speaker of the whole thing is Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is speaking, because he's the one that wrote the Mahabharata. And where's the Gita? In the middle of the Mahabharata. So Vyasadeva is actually the original speaker. Then the next sub-speaker, remember we talked about circles inside of circles. Then we hear Dhritarashtra. And he's talking to who? Sanjaya, the secretary. Dhritarashtra can't see. And Sanjaya has special vision. He has television of the heart. He has that by the mercy of Vyas. He can see the battle. That's mystic power. I'm sure there's some mystic yogis who can do that. Okay? So he has mystic power. And then the next speaker by the third verse is who? Duryodhana. Okay. Then by 21, Krishna. Arjuna and Krishna. Arjuna, he starts in the second section, and then Krishna, and that's who is here. So we have Vyas, Dhritarashtra, Sanjaya, Arjuna next, and then Krishna.
Duryodhana.
Did I leave Duryodhana?
You didn't say Duryodhana.
Did I say Duryodhana? Okay, Vyasadeva, Dhritarashtra, Sanjaya, Duryodhana. He's describing Krishna. And then you have Arjuna. Place my chariots between the two armies. I want to see who has come here. And then Krishna. Oh, look at all those crews assembled here. Whoa.
Arjuna is the speaker.
Arjuna is also speaker. Yeah, he said, please draw my chariot between these two armies. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So you know who's speaking. So here at the beginning here, Datri has read. Read it again, Datri. Okay. Check page 41.
Dhritarashtra questions Sanjay about the events that took place at Kurukshetra.
Okay, so now here, do you see what we have done? You have memorized the headings. Have you not?
Yeah.
You've memorized them, but you used it a different way. That's all. You've reformatted information. So now you know these topics. So now if you want to add to the tree, you want to put the subtweets in. You've got a good voice. Can you read the first description of preparations for war? Can you read that loudly?
Yes. Sanjay describes how Duryodhana, using diplomacy, solves a dilemma of encouraging Drona without insulting Bhishma and others. Bhishma rallies his soldiers with the sound of his conch shell. Yet the symbolism of the conch shell indicates their defeat.
So here's a summary of those 13 slokas. Now can you remember that a little better? Right, because now you're going to hear diplomacy, insulting. How am I going to address everybody without insulting anybody? This takes a real diplomat. And then Bhishma gets the soldiers together, and he blows his conch shell, but it doesn't sound so promising. Okay, then signs of victory, a good powerful voice. Okay, we'll let the young ones hear. Go ahead.
Sanjay describes various signs of victory for the Pandava army, especially the transcendental sound of the conch shells of Krishna and Arjuna, which shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra.
So in this section, we hear now an indication of who's probably going to win. And there are other signs. We're going to point those out because those are your next study questions. What are the signs of it? There are quite a few, actually. Quite a few. So now, does this help you understand the signs of victory? We're going to hear about the names of the conch shells, so the different transcendental names and their warriors. Okay, we had a nice big. Let's let Govinda Kund. Can you read what is Krishna?
I forgot to bring my specs today.
What's that?
I forgot to bring my specs.
You forgot to bring your specs. Okay, so we'll bypass that one. Remember, put all your stuff out like on a trip the night before. You know, you're traveling the next day. Have you ever tried to pack the morning you have to go? It doesn't work. The clock goes twice as fast as normal. And then your friend, like Vidhi Bhakti, shows up at the door. You know? It's always like that, you know? And you think, wait a minute, Krishna, give me a break. I need to, you know. So always pack the night before. If you notice how we started to do this class now, we've got everything packed. It just goes up the steps. We packed everything the night before, and then everybody's on the plane. Okay, who has specs or doesn't need them and has a big voice? Okay, Rasamrita.
Signs of victory.
Krishna's
No, Krishna appears.
Krishna appears as chariot driver of Arjuna, revealing his quality as Bhaktavatsal, not as the supreme lord. Arjuna orders Krishna to place his chariot between the two armies, as he wants to see who is present there. Seeing those assembled for battle, Arjuna becomes hesitant to fight.
Okay, now are you filling in your tree? You see the topics, you know them, now you're filling in the twigs. Right, right, I want to see who's there. I want to see who's there. Okay, now we've got 4 readers here for Arjuna's 4 doubts, from 28 to 46. We know them now. What are they? Compassion, enjoyment, fear of sin, and degradation of society, destruction of a family. We know why. These are dharma. It's a dharma. He's speaking moral codes, but it's not good enough. Because real dharma, Sanatan dharma, is you do it because Krishna wants it. That's the mystery of the Gita. That's why people can't understand, what are you talking about, the Gita? And some people have used the Gita for peace. On a battlefield? No, war is there, fight is there, Kshatriyas are necessary, they have to uphold order, spiritual order. They can't be aggressors, that's not dharmic. But you need people to protect society from those who are unruly. So that's required. So he's got dharmic reasons, but it's not enough. Real dharma is Krishna wants it. And then you are free from reaction. If you are living according to dharma, according to Krishna's order, and according to the opinion of the sadhus, you are free of reaction. Otherwise, your life is, you're going to have to take the results. You're going to have to take them. No way out. Nobody escapes. The material nature is infallible. The reactions come. Every action will bring a reaction. We're caught. Spiritual life means how to get out of that trap. Everybody's caught under the action and reaction of the material nature. And she's not kind. Is material nature kind? Take a look at a few earthquakes. Landslides, right? What happened at Kedarnath? Is material nature kind? No way. Very harsh. Listen to the monkeys screaming at night, right? Very harsh. It's meant to be harsh. It's punishment. She turned away from Krishna. Okay. Anita, read us about compassion. What does it say?
Compassion, Arjuna's doubts, the last one.
First one.
Yeah. The compassion.
Under Arjuna's doubts.
Yeah.
Arjuna, being a soft-hearted devotee, becomes overwhelmed with compassion and forgets himself when he sees his relatives before him. He has become fearful due to the material conception of life.
Right. Here he's on the bodily concept. I'm a body, I'm this person, and those are my relatives. But that's the first fallacy. We are misidentifying with the material body and mind as the self, rather than the eternal, encaged living entity within. So he's here acting on the material platform. He's thinking he's the body, and those who are related to him are his relatives. So that is the whole world is based on that fundamental flaw. It's like starting math and saying 1 + 1 is 3. All of your answers are wrong. So the whole material world is based on I'm this body and I'm God. But that's a fallacious concept. Krishna is God and I'm this encaged living entity inside. Struggling in the material world. Struggle. Okay. Who's going to like to read about enjoyment? We need a nice, strong voice. She's a bit soft-spoken. Can you read loudly? Try, really loud.
Enjoyment. He argues that he will not be able to enjoy his kingdom if it is won at the cost of the lives of his family members. He fears sinful reactions for killing his kinsmen.
Okay, so how can I enjoy a kingdom if everybody that I love is not around to share it with? All right, the next one, saintliness and fear of sinful reaction. And let us try, who else, another, Kamala.
Arjuna argues that killing one's family is sinful and will lead to hell. The higher principle is that real religion is whatever Krishna says or wants.
Okay, this is the mystery of the Gita, why people don't understand it. Only devotee can understand this. And our final, destruction of family. Okay, you want to try that one?
Yeah. Destruction of family. Arjuna further argues that the destruction of the dynasty will lead to unchaste women, unwanted children, and end of spiritual culture. Arjuna, having decided not to fight, finally casts aside his bow and sits down on the chariot.
Now mind you, Arjuna has promised never to throw down his Gandhiva bow. And he just throws it down. Whoever tells me to throw down my bow, I will kill him.
Yeah.
And here he's throwing it down.
When Yudhishthir Maharaj
Yes, this is dejection from a great warrior. Now you got the picture? Have you filled in the twigs? Let's see how the study guide charts help us fill in this last argument. Turn to the back of your study guide. You will see some charts. The first chart was done, as all of them, by Tyag Chaitanya years ago when the VIG was located in the Gurukula. And he was presenting these charts.
It's 94.
It's in the
page
back of the
94.
book. It's after 93. Yeah. So you will see here a diagrammatic representation of slokas 39 to 42. Now we're in the last section, right? Remember? Arjuna's doubts. And we're in the last doubt. And here we have a visual elaboration. We call these graphics organizers that help us see the important points. You all see that here? Okay. So here, where are we now in the Gita? Chapter 1, what slokas? 39 to 42, just before 46. His last expression of doubt. His last expression of doubt. This whole society is going to be degraded. I will have to suffer eternally for this, not just for killing now, the future generations. So the first step, number 1, let's read it together. The superiors are killed. Number 2, then what happens? Destruction of eternal family tradition. Right? If the elders are killed, right? Number 3, religion dominates the family. You see that all over the world. Nobody believes in God. Religious, don't bother me. I do what I want. If I like it, fine. I don't care. I don't even care what happens. If it feels good, it's okay with me. That's the mentality. Number 4, what happens then? Right. If all the men are killed, then the women are left alone. And guess what happens when women are protected? The men take advantage. They're exploited. Oh, you're so nice. Come and see me. Right. It'll be exploited. And then what's the result of that? Unwanted progeny. Unwanted progeny. And then what's the result of the unwanted progeny? Results in chaos in society. Yes, all kinds of community projects, family welfare activities are devastated. This is the Banashram system. This can hardly be reinstated in Kali Yuga. That's why Lord Chaitanya says just chant Hare Krishna. There is no Varna. There are no ashram. Prabhupada is trying to reinstate that. But it's gone. Everybody's born Shudra or less. And maybe some Vaishyas. But Kshatriyas, Brahmins, of that caliber, they can start a fire with a mantra? You don't find that. Bring dead horses back to life? No. Come on. Isn't that possible? Situated in Brahman? No. Not possible. So here you're seeing what happens. The whole society is in chaos. And becoming animalistic. The more godless they are, the more animalistic they become. Because they're becoming animals in the next life. So here is the progression. Superiors are killed. The first one, right? What's your first one? The superiors are killed. Second, what happens? Tradition is stopped. Try to memorize this because you're going to do it with your partner. First the superiors are killed, then the tradition stops. Then irreligion. Then polluted women, right? Then Varna Shankara. And then what's next? Chaos. Chaos. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Superiors? Tradition? Irreligion? Women? Children? Chaos. Okay, turn to your neighbor and tell them, what is the progression that we now face in the world now? That's it, okay? Let's see if we can do it. Yes, very degradation is the nature. Nature is degradation. It's not there. Yes, here it is.
And religion predominates. Then we get unwanted children, progeny, and then there's chaos on the society. This chaos in the society, family welfare is doing community projects and chaos.
What was number 3?
Now, have you filled in more of the tweaks to this chapter? You've got a better handle on this chapter? And you see how the book and the charts have helped you so far. Even if you look in the context, a table of contents, you will see a summary for each chapter. These books help you a lot. Take advantage of the guides. Okay, now, our next step. Please take out your Gita if you have your own or if you have the pocket one. Now, do a little bit of research. I haven't checked myself. Go through the little pocket-sized Gita and see how many verses have a purport.
44, I think.
See how many verses have purports. Try
In
to
the
count
first
it up.
chapter?
Not all of them.
Only first
Chapter
chapter.
1. Go through chapter 1.
Mataji, only first chapter or all the chapters?
Only the first chapter. Find how many purports we have, because the purports are the verses will be the leaves, and the purports are the nectar, the flowers and the fruit. Purports tell you so much.
What are the verses?
How many purports are in the chapter? Not every sloka has a purport, so please count.
43.
There are 46 slokas. See how many purports. This will indicate some verses don't have a purport.
42.
33 much.
33. We have two people saying 33. I haven't pre-checked, but I know I wanted to do this because, again, if you analyze, you actually know what you're dealing with, because then you can find, where do I really have to focus? Where do I get the fruit of these verses? Prabhupada has said these are his ecstasies. He gives you in here commentary, background information. What the acharyas, other acharyas will say.
33.
I'm getting 34.
Okay, we have 33, 34.
2 for 33.
2 for 33.
The winners.
34, 2 for 34. Where do we get another bid?
34.
34. We got it.
33.
30. Let's hear a 30. I haven't checked, so I can't. Going once, going twice. We have
Mataji, have checked it 3 times.
34.
34. 5, 3. 5 is to 3. Okay.
34.
34.
7 is to 3.
Okay, we're getting more on 34. 7 is to 3. Notice how many people are checking now.
Mataji, I'll take one.
Which side?
34.
Okay.
8 is to 1.
This is like voting for the prime minister, right? Who's going to get it?
Mataji is 34.
8 is to 1.
Okay. So we know now that this chapter has 46 slokas and how many purports?
33.
34. And somehow people say, oh, come on, Yashoda, this is too technical. I don't know, is this helping you? It's too good. It helps you. Yes, because now
Okay, 34.
you're geared up.
Now 146.
Just one just came in.
All right, now the next step. Remember, when you're going up the stairway, listen, if you're going up a stairway, unless you're his size and his age, you take one step at a time. Now he might take 2 or maybe 3, because he's young and his mind is quick. But learning means I take one step at a time. So first we started with Bhagavad Gita, step 1. Step 2 was 146. Step 3 was 4 topics. Step 5 was the codes. Yes, right? You got the codes. The next step was what? The sections. 1 to 13, 14. You got that, right?
Yeah.
So you learned that. So you went up to the 6th step. Then the next step was what?
34 purports.
Well, no, you read the summaries. You read the summaries, you started to fill in the twigs. Then what did you do?
Then destruction.
You looked at a chart. Yes, the chart helped you elaborate on those, see graphically those 4 arguments, okay? Then you counted what?
The purport.
The purports. Now take out your yellow book, because we're going to go to the next step. Now notice we're stepping up the stairway properly. If you jump your yellow book, which is the slokas, some of you have it? If not, the Gita will work. The Gita will work. The verses are a little bit different. But the yellow book, this one, yes, or sometimes blue, it has your verses in it.
Only verses.
Just the verses. Now, so the older book, some of the editions are different, so you don't get panicked. Some will say the Blessed Lord, some will say the Supreme. Don't panic. But the one you have, the photocopy, okay?
Only the translations.
Just the translations right there. Okay. That's okay. It's okay. We haven't passed out. Are we ready?
Yes.
So this is now step number maybe 8. Because we now are ready to understand this. If we started reading this, maybe no, maybe no. But now it's just the next, the leaves. Now we're going to read the leaves of our tree. We know the twigs. We know they'll zoom in on the chart. Ready for the leaves. Okay, now one secret. Read the first one and we're going to read the last one. So we're going to read Sloka 1 and Sloka 13. That helps us lock it in. Okay. Now repeat after me. Sloka 1. So you get the beginning and the end. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons, and the sons of Pandu, assembled in the place of pilgrimage, at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Now this is one of your study questions. Now let's go to verse 13. Okay? Verse 13. Because remember, this is the end of the section. And we're going to see how it concludes. Because if you start at the beginning and you lock in the end, then you'll know what is the trigger for the next section. Now, for instance, these little boys have a master Sanskrit teacher. And they told me that on the last sloka, when they hear the sound of the last word, right? That will give them the trigger for the next sloka. Yeah, it's a strategy. So because they have to recite, they have to learn the whole Bhagavad Gita.
That's why in the Brahma Samhita, the last line is the same, so it's very difficult to memorize the whole thing.
Yeah, so they give him strategies. He knows, he's a master. Okay, so now I'm turning to text 13, and we will recite that one together. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets and horns, were all suddenly sounded. And the combined sound was tumultuous. Okay, that's the preparations for war. Okay, first he's asking what to do, and now
Mataji, this is triggering the next section actually.
Yes, that's the idea. You'll see. You see how this works. If you know these little strategies, you will be able to swim through the Gita without too much hindrance. It just falls into place. You'll get the structure and the flow. Those two concepts. You've got the structure. Now the leaves will give you the flow. Now repeat. Text 14 is the beginning of what? Signs of victory. On the other side. Both Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Stationed on a great chariot. Drawn by white horses. Sounded their transcendental conch shells. What's this chapter called? This section? Signs of victory. So that starts with sloka what? 14. And where does it end? 20. So now let's go to 20. Okay. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot, bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow, and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Okay, so that's the beginning of 20, the Bhagavad Psalm. Now that ends at 27. Okay. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades, friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion. Now this starts our final section, 28. And what was the first topic there? Compassion. You see how that leads into this first argument. Compassion. That was your key word. Now let's start the first sloka of 28. Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives, present before me, in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering, and my mouth drying up. He's feeling compassion, right? Not so eager to fight. This is a warrior. He's meant to kill. I don't feel like it. Let's go to this last sloka, 46. Okay. Now there are sub-breakdowns here, but we won't take them right now. 46, the final sloka of chapter 1. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows, and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. Okay. So now you got the structure. Okay. Now let us go to our study guide, and let us take a look at the 8 questions you have to answer and where we can find them. So turn to your study guide, and keep your book handy now, because you're going to need the help of your book. Right? Because, yes. And also your yellow one, because now we have to dig more deeply. The questions might be answered in the verse. They may be answered in the purport. They may be actually alluded to in both, or directly answered in both. So now you have to go more deeply into the details. But do you feel oriented? Yes. You've got the framework, and now you know pretty much the book. Now you're really filling in the leaves, along with the flower and the fruit of the study. Okay, our questions start on page 82. What is it again, 64? 82. Questions. Now we talked about the first lesson, remember? You will have lessons 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each of these is the topic. Lesson 1 is our first one, preparations for war. Lesson 2 is what? Science and doctrine. Lesson 3 is? Krishna's Bhagavad Psalm. And lesson 4 will be? Yes, Arjuna's doubts. So in your homework book, if you want to have a model, we're fairly consistent. If you give 1 page to each of these 2 questions, you do question 1 or 2. And we were saying you'll need to leave the back blank, because then on the back you can write the numbers of slokas, and then you could throw in some more details. You can even add points from a purport. Okay? So one side, that means 81 sheets of paper, and the back can be further details that you find important for your appreciation and study. That way your book is very complete. It's very complete in a very schematic way. Okay. The books are always there, but if you have the skeleton of your points, you're well off.
2 questions on 1 page.
2 questions on 1 page, ideally you can do more. Leave the back blank, and then number. So on the back of lesson 1, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, up to what? 13. And then for lesson 2, I would go from 14 to 23. And for lesson part 3, I would go from what? 24, 21 to 27. And the final topic, I would go from 28 to 46. You might have to divide your page. Okay, that allows you a place to make more notes. Okay? Because a lot of the points in the test may be what's the analogy in the first sloka. And that's in the purport. There's an analogy in there. And you may want to do that. You all follow that format? So you'll have for your first homework, which ideally could have been done today. I didn't finish myself, but I got to go home and catch up. So four pages, back, more points. Room for more points. You don't have to do it.
The number of verses are different than what you were saying.
Here it is written 24, 36.
Yes.
It's
like 14 to 23.
Oh, that's interesting because we're now taking it from the study guide. That's right. Okay. I've taken the numbers from our study guide.
Yeah.
They're different. Looks as though their lessons are a little different. Okay, use what we have done, because I didn't realize there was a conflict here. Okay, use what we have established in our study guide. Okay, so you're not confused. It's a small overlap, but it's not serious.
It's not serious. I mean,
It's
we
not
took this
serious.
one for 88.
Yeah, it's not serious. You know, these kinds of things, like if it starts at 37 or 38, it's not a major thing. Because in the other part of the book where we took the structure from the summaries, you see, that's where we used the points.
We can take it from 1881. I think
Yeah.
that's the better.
Take it from 1881. All right? All right, so we answered the first question, why is the Bhagavad Gita the perfect theistic science? And we found that last time in the first verse, first purport. The purport, right? And it's answered directly in a statement. Now remember, what's the strategy for reading a purport? You read the first sentence and you read the last sentence. Let's try it out again. It works. Let's take our first verse and we're going to read the first sentence of the purport, the first paragraph. I tell you, it works because Prabhupada is a writer. Krishna wrote these books. Prabhupada just took dictation. And on top of that, any writer knows that he starts with his statement, general statement, he builds his evidence, and then he writes a conclusive opinion at the end, or a concluding summary statement at the end. The 3 steps are, I tell them what I'm going to tell them, I tell them, and then I tell them what I told them. You say something 3 times. I tell you what I'm going to tell you. I introduce it. Then I tell you. I develop it. Then I recap. I tell you what I just told you. Now notice 3 times. That is standard for every paragraph, every essay, every sandarbha. Let's see it. The first sentence. Anita, could you read the first sentence of the purport to verse 1?
Bhagavad Gita is the widely read theistic science summarized in the Gita Mahatmya, glorification of the Gita.
And did you see what he called key words here? Theistic science, and he mentions the Gita Mahatmya. Okay? Now, we're going to ask you, Raghav, would you read the last sentence?
Of the
Of the first paragraph.
Page 40.
40.
that is the specific standard of the.
No.
Last
sentence.
It is the perfect theistic science because it is directly spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri
Here's your
Krishna.
answer. That's your answer to your question. What was your question? And what is the answer? Because it's directly spoken by Lord Krishna. Do You see how easy it becomes? And then if you wish to add some more points, the paragraph could give you some more points. The paragraph could give you some more points. You could find that the Gita actually contains more than other scriptures. It surpasses all in Vedic wisdom. And it should be heard in the line of disciplic succession without motivation or interpretation, personal motivation or personal interpretation. So you could add those points. I did that in mine. I'd like to add a little more. But you got the statement. Now the second question, why is Dhritarashtra fearful about the outcome of the battle? Okay, so this one, it probably is almost, it's a big first sentence. So we need, Rasami, you're not ready. Okay, who's got a big voice? You're ready. Read the first sentence of paragraph 3.
The word Dharmakshetre, a place where religious rituals are performed, is significant because on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present on the side of Arjuna.
Okay, and then the next sentence it says, Dhritarashtra was highly doubtful about the outcome. Okay? And if we go down a little further, the key word actually here is he was fearful because of a... Where do we have that one? He was fearful of a compromise.
Yeah.
In the middle.
But that's the main point.
Yes, the main point is compromise. Comes in the middle.
Main is influence, no, Madhuri?
Yes, because he's fearful that the holy place, plus Krishna's presence, plus his virtuous sons, the Pandavas, opposed to his unvirtuous sons, would be favorably, the result would be in the favor of the Pandavas. But he didn't want the holy place to influence a compromise.
Yeah.
So he says he did not want a compromise between the cousins and brothers, and he wanted to be sure of the fate of his sons on the battlefield. He wanted an all-out victory. And he was fearful that the holy place would even make his sons more pious, and oh well, let's not fight. So he wanted he wanted them finished, all of them finished. So your answer is a little more buried here. But definitely you should mention the presence of Krishna, the influence of the holy place. Also, the virtuous Pandavas would be favored in a holy place. But here, he's concerned he doesn't want to compromise. Because he's asking, what did they do? Well, obviously they're going to fight.
But I thought that...
But he's fearful they're going to sit and start negotiating. That's not what he wants. So those are your answers for the first question. Now, we have a few minutes to see where we can find your questions for number
3.
Lesson 2. State any 3 signs that point to victory for the Pandavas. So now we're going to check between 14 and 20. Now there are more than 3. There are more than 3 signs. So let us begin with sloka 14. Now the purpose, the purports will tell us more. And even in the sloka, you might not catch it, but definitely you know Krishna's there, Arjuna's there, they're on a chariot, they have white horses, and you hear transcendental conch shells. Now the purport will help you understand that all of these are signs of victory. Okay? So, if you read the first sentence, let's see, come look, can you read the first sentence?
In contrast with the conch shell long by Bhishma Dev, the conch shells in the hands of Krishna and Arjuna are described as transcendental.
Right, now every one of these sentences actually elaborates on each of the signs. So the transcendental conch shells are one of the signs you could list. Okay, and then another one. Victory is with persons like Pandu because Lord Krishna is on their side. And then also, whenever there's Krishna, who else is there? Lakshmi. So that's your third, you got 3 signs right there. And then, she never goes without Krishna. Therefore, victory and fortune were awaiting Arjuna, as indicated by the conch shell. Besides that, what about the chariot?
Donated by Agni.
Agni. This chariot could go anywhere, undefeated. It was a gift from Agni. And he was allowed to burn the Kandava forest. That was the gift he gave Arjuna. And then there are some more. So in this one we know there's the transcendental conch shells. Krishna's there, Lakshmi is there, Arjuna, the white horses are there, and the chariot. Krishna can go anywhere, unimpeded. So they have the advantage. All right, now, we hear from the next slokas, you hear all the names of the conch shells and the owners, you'll get that. Okay, then we go on, and we're going to get some more signs. On sloka 20, we're going to get another very important sign. Well, in 19, in 19 also when they sound the conch shells, what happened?
Shattered.
Yes, that sound was not of ordinary conch shells. The other side, their hearts were shattered. That's a sign.
We can add all this.
You can add all this, yes.
I've written only 3.
You don't have, you can make this your own. Make this is your way to know the Gita. I heard a class in which Varsha was talking about how Prabhupada said, my devotees have to know the Bhagavad Gita. How will they know what to do? He said, we're not an export business. We just distribute the book. If you don't know the subtleties of the laws of karma, how will you know how to act? You'll be caught. This Krishna has given you this to help you extricate yourself from bondage. It's not a joke. It's serious. So now in 20, the last verse, we have another sign. And what's that sign? Hanuman's on the flag. Yes, he appears. And this shows you the absolute nature of the transcendence. Hanuman is present. It's not just a picture. So if you have a picture of a deity or if you have a book, should you put your book on the floor? No. Should you put your pictures on the floor? No. Should you put anything about Krishna on the floor? No. Your beads? Your papers? No. It is. It's the absolute. The words are Krishna. It's not matter. When you get to higher levels of consciousness, you'll realize this. On all levels, not just understanding generally. So Hanuman is on the flag. He has agreed to be there to help Arjuna. So when Hanuman is there, the goddess of fortune, Ram and Sita are there, and definitely victory is assured. So you see where you can answer that question now. Okay, you got all these lists. Now what's the next one? And then explain the significance of Krishna's name as Rishikesh in verse 15. So let's go back to verse 15. There's a purport there. And if we read the first sentence, who's ready? You've already done one.
Yeah.
Okay, you do.
Lord Krishna is referred to as Rishikesa in the verse because he is the owner of all senses.
He's the owner of all senses. So you notice in the Sanskrit, he's referred to as Rishikesha. And here, it says the Lord situated, so you have to read a little more, situated in the hearts of all living entities, directs their senses. Rishi, Kesha. But he directs in terms of the what?
Surrender.
Surrender. Otherwise he's neutral. But in proportion to the living entity, surrender to Krishna, surrender to his order, surrender to the Gita, to the scriptures, he personally directs you. And in the case of a pure devotee, what does it say? He directly controls the senses.
So Arjuna's senses were controlled by Krishna directly.
Yes. Here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Lord directly controls the transcendental senses of Arjuna, and thus his particular name of? So there's the answer to what?
The question.
Yes, your question. It is in the purport. You all see that?
Yes.
And you'll see other names he has, Madhusudan, Govinda, Vasudeva. Krishna's primary names.
Yeah, the Lord has different names according to different...
His activities. Krishna has names according to his activities. Actually, even in Vedic times, even now, people are given names according to their nature. When they get a chart, they see the disposition of the child and they say, he should have a name like this, because this is his disposition. You notice even in the West, some girls may be called Joy. They'll be happy, right? Or Harmony. You know, they'll be given virtuous names. Now, you know, but it actually fits their nature. They look at the chart and their disposition fits. So here, Krishna's, his secondary names are his names in relationship with the material energy. Like Brahmananda or Adideva or something like that. How does he relate with the material? Those are his but his primary names are his relationships with his devotees. And these award more ras. That's why in the morning we chant the primary names of Krishna. Okay.
I think there's one more reason. The living entities are part and parcel of him. And therefore the senses of the living entities are also part and parcel of the senses.
That's right. And when one does not use his senses, which are part and parcel of Krishna, he's misusing his senses, and therefore he has to suffer. Because we are merely, we're part of Krishna's body. Just as every cell in your body is part of you. If one cell in your body decides I'm going on strike and I jump out, it's going to be a little bit out of touch. But that's what we've done.
Yeah, that's what we've
We're
done.
one particle of the body of the Lord, and we've decided to jump off ship. And obviously it's a painful experience. And you're not going to get much help. You're just going to get shafted by the material ocean, filled with sharks, right? I think everybody here has figured that out.
Yeah.
It's full of sharks. You can't take to Krishna consciousness unless you're convinced the material nature is a dangerous place. If you don't think it is, you're not going to go for this. What do you mean? What are you telling me? It's fun out here. Roller coasters and nightclubs. Come on, this place is great. Riviera. So they won't be convinced. Look at the new Rolls Royces that they're coming up with. You know, come on, this is a great place. So unless you're convinced this is death trap, you're not going to take the spiritual options. So you see where your answers are here? Okay, what's our next question? Explain the significance of Arjuna addressing Krishna in Hrishikesh. Now we're going to go to the next. It's the same word, but here it means something else. What does it mean in 24? So we hear more names now. Gudakesh. But now, at the end, Hrishikesh has a different meaning. Because now they're trying to point out subtleties in the purports. See at the end.
Yeah, as Rishikesh.
Okay, who wants to read the last sentence? Who's got a nice voice? Okay, you can't read loud.
As Rishikesh, or the director of the senses and mind of every living entity, Krishna could understand Arjuna's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. Thus he did so and spoke as follows.
Okay, now it doesn't quite answer. I think our next sloka is going to tell us a little bit more. That he predicted in a joking way that Arjuna wants to give up.
The use of the word Rishikesh in this connection indicates that he knew everything. And the word Parth, or the son of the Kunti or Parth, is also similarly significant in reference to Arjuna.
Right. In other words, let's see, is a great devotee can okay. A devotee can conquer both. Okay, but basically what's happening here is Krishna is going to predict. He knows that Arjuna wants to give up. So the answer is actually, I think it's in your next sloka anyway.
Yeah, because it says in verse 24.
Yeah, that is the answer, Mati, the last paragraph.
The last paragraph.
That's what
Yeah, right. And also, let us go into 20, because I know when you look in the next sloka as well. Hrishikesh knew everything. And the word Partha, or son of Kunti, or Pritha, is also significant in reference to Arjuna. As a friend, he wanted to inform Arjuna that because Arjuna was the son of Pritha, the sister of his own father, Vasudeva, he had agreed to be the chariot of Arjuna. Now, what did Krishna mean when he told Arjuna to behold the Kurus? Did Arjuna want to stop there and not fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his aunt, Pritha. The mind of Arjuna was thus predicted by the Lord in friendly joking. So he actually is predicting this by understanding, he understands.
Why did he tell him to
Right,
the chariot?
right. And he's joking with him. Why? You're you're coming from a noble family. You're coming from a noble family. He's predicting what Arjuna is thinking and what he wants to do. But basically, you could be satisfied with perhaps what's in 24. But you get a slightly different understanding here, because now he knows everything, therefore he can predict the mind.
But right here it says in text 24, as Rishikesh, or director of the senses and mind of every living entity, Krishna could understand.
He could understand the purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of both dharmas.
That's the answer.
And it's the answer, but it's further explained if you look at the next point.
Okay, got it.
That look, you're coming from a royal lineage on both sides, and I'm here representing you, and I get a bad image if you go out of here. I've agreed to be your chariot fighter, and then you decide, I know what you're going to do. So a little deeper understanding comes in your next purport. Okay, let us go quickly now to lesson 4. Oh no, did we go? Sorry.
Explain the significance of Arjuna.
Yes, we explain the significance of Arjuna addressing Krishna as Govinda in verse 32. So let's go to that one. We're trying to help you now with your homework. Not that you shouldn't read all these purports, but this will help you at least extract some of the main things in the purport. Okay. And Dhartri, you want to read the first sentence? You got your book in? Okay.
Yes, I do. And that's it. I'm sorry. It's
32.
32.
Yeah, it's a huge combined verse, 32.
First sentence. Arjuna has addressed Lord Krishna as Govinda because Krishna is the object of all pleasures for cows and the senses.
Okay, so the word Govinda means go, senses, and one who gives pleasure. And now, the next line will tell us, by using this significant word, Arjuna indicates that Krishna should understand what will satisfy Arjuna's senses. Is that what we should do?
No, we should see what is.
No, that's what the Jiva wants. Krishna, this is what I want. I want, I. Prabhupada said, as soon as somebody says I, he's in Maya. It's Maya. Some devotee was telling a story about some devotee that was in Mayapur, and he wanted to do bhajan, and I want to be by myself, and I want this, and I want to chant more rounds, and these devotees are bothering me, and Prabhupada said, as soon as he said I knew he was in Maya. Prabhupada couldn't be fooled. So, but what's the purpose of serving Govinda? We're supposed to please Krishna's senses. Because if you please Krishna's senses, then your senses are pleased. That's how you do it. You water the root, not the leaves. Okay, so that's explained there. So that's the next one. And very quickly, lesson 4. What is the significance of the word Varna? Shankara. What does that mean? Unwanted population.
But Manaji, we cannot write just in one sentence, right?
You can add more. Yes, you can add a little bit more.
What I've written, Manaji, is the word Varna Shankara means unwanted progeny.
Right.
Arjuna tells Krishna that he would not want to fight because there will be families destroyed in the war, and the women of the family will be polluted, and then there will be unwanted progeny or Varna Shankara. That's what I've written. I don't know if it's correct.
That's good. That's good. And you might add additional points, 2 points. Varna Shankara creates chaos in society. And on top of that, Varna Shankara, because the lack of Garbhadana samskars, do not have the adhikar to elevate themselves. They don't have it. You can see certain kids. They're so disturbed, they're so restless. How can they have the determination or the understanding even for vairagya? For gyan, which leads to vairagya. They don't. Gyan should lead to vairagya. They don't have either the gyan or the determination to follow. They can't. So it's dangerous for them on all levels. Not only are they creating a hellish situation for themselves, but because they're running loose in society. Ever go to the temple at night? What are the kids doing? They're running wild. Nobody's paying attention to them. Is that nice? Is that pleasant for everybody else? I've actually been knocked over by some kids. You know, they just... And nobody even seems to notice, you know. I mean, you could consider, okay, thank you, Krishna, that's your mercy on me, but ideally, it's not, I think, the right way to, show reverence and affection for the deity. Everybody's disturbed.
The first point is chaos in society, and the second is?
Chaos. Also, it's explained that they don't have the adhikar. They don't have the adhikar, first of all, to understand higher principles of life, which is what the human form of life is meant for. Nor will they have the determination to follow them. I heard Prabhupada said, Gyan must lead to Vairagya. Knowledge means I know. Vairagya means I have the determination to do it.
Application.
I don't have the determination. I'm too... my mind is too crazy. How can I follow anything?
Mataji, this last question explains the significance of Arjuna's addressing Krishna's Govinda in verse 32. According to them it's correct, but according to us it falls in the next section.
Well, it's verses 32 to 35 is a block.
Yeah, the whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
It
but
can be any of the verses.
we are writing it in the verses 21 to 27.
I'm confused.
No, which question are you saying? The first
This
one?
Govinda.
Lesson 3.
The Govinda one. That is in the same verse.
According to them it's correct.
Okay.
But for us it's wrong because we are writing it in the verses 21 to 27.
Okay, you can just change it because in ours, the old one, it says 24.
It's 24 to 36. In the old one, it's saying that.
But the explanation for Govinda is in 32, the first one. It's a combined sloka.
And then what
34 to
happens is the
36,
sections
we
are
already
getting
talked
confusing.
about
What sections will be done and different. Study guide is saying it's different.
It's a little bit different.
We can just change it.
Follow the topics from our first breakdown,
So we
okay?
have to change the questions also.
No. You do it from the study guide only.
Yeah.
Questions from the study
Use
guide.
your study guide.
And just write the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the sloka, the purport follows the sloka, 32. It's not a big thing. Because the point is, where is the answer? And it is there in that 32. It is there. Okay, we have hit 5 o'clock, and do we have all of our answers?
Because we already went
Okay, we
over.
went over and summarized Arjuna's arguments for not
No,
applying.
not that one. You only 7 for the week.
7.
We just 7 for the week. That's the 8th question.
Yeah, right, that's 8
8th
questions.
question.
Yeah.
Varna
Okay.
Shankara.
So can you finish those this week? All right?
Varna Shankara is the last question.
Okay, and we did not have time. We wanted to cover our sloka. We have to start learning on sloka at a meeting. We did want to do 213 today. Dehinosmin, Komanam, Okay, so we're going to be, Kamala is getting those photocopied for you. The photocopying all the slokas for the Gita are coming soon. By next time we will have them. Okay.
Here, I brought it.
Oh, you have them?
But the thing is that we need to have a strong stapler because
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have
so
nothing to staple the strong
no
tape.
point to adding. They're okay. Everybody has enough to do this week?
Yes.
All right? If you even go ahead, no problem. Wait a minute. Wait up, quiet. Chaos means passion. Please. The minute you hear this, you know we're off track. Let us all control our Vacho Vegam right now. Control Vacho Vegam. First thing you do on the airplane, you keep the seatbelt sign on and you pack your things without talking. Vacho Vegam.